Okay, today we're going to go ahead and change this left tank on the living quarters on this horse trailer. So the way you're going to start this is you want to make sure you got your gas turned off. This tank is just about empty, so we're going to turn it off. We're going to make sure our other tank is off. We don't want anything else happening. And then we're going to go ahead and take this pair of channel locks and loosen this. You put these on pretty tight. We always check them for leaks, but you got to break that loose a little bit. Unscrew that. Okay, so that's loose. Then we're going to loosen up the bracket up here that holds these two tanks in place. Then you lift up this bar, it goes across the two tanks, holds them together and holds them down tight. So we're going to lift up on that and lean this out. And this 30-pound tank doesn't give you a lot of clearance. There's about maybe a half an inch, maybe a little bit less. So you got to be careful. Originally, this came with 20-pound tanks, but we wanted to put 30s on because it lasts a lot longer. So this you're going to put on just the opposite of what you just took off. Now this weighs about 55 pounds when it's full. So you want to slip it down in the hole, set it up, try to keep all this up out of the way. There we go. And then you line that up like that. We won't tighten that yet until we're sure. And then we're going to go ahead and hook the gas back up. Once we get it to where we think we're pretty tight, then we're going to try to tighten it just a little bit more here, just like that. Don't want to go too much, but you got to make sure it's tight. This hold down bar went right back in the same spot. This tank on the right side's full. It's a lot easier to change this tank. It falls out easier with the electric jack and switch and stuff over here. It's hard to get this out. You have to take this tank and actually lean it this way also. So it's a lot harder. So we try to, when we run on this left tank, we try to make sure before it runs completely out, we switch it out. So once you get it tightened down, that's pretty good right there. So what we're going to do now is turn on the gas. We're going to watch this green band here, but we're going to go in the camper and light the stove, and then that'll make sure we have a good draw on this. Or we could even try just turning the furnace on. We may do that. Just turn the furnace on, let it cycle a couple of times, because this has been open now for a couple minutes, so that's let some air into it. But as long as you got a green band up here, that means it's supplying pressure to it. This lever right here switches between the left tank and the right tank. If you want to run both tanks, you flip this up straight up, and then that will feed off of both tanks. And if you want to run on the right tank, you're going to want to flip it all the way to the right. You heard it click there. So now that is going to feed off of this tank. So we always like to try to run the left. So we're going to flip it back over. So right there, if it's pointing towards that tank, that's the one that's going to be drawing the gas out of. So that's 30 pounds of propane with the tank and the propane in there. The total weight's about 55 pounds. So that's tight, and the gas valve's open. So what we're going to do, we always want to test it. Anytime you're dealing with gas, what we do is we take a little bit of warm water and we mix up Dawn dishwashing detergent, something you wash your dishes with, and then you put it around where you made your connection. And what this does is, if there's a leak here, that's going to be blowing those soap bubbles everywhere. So as long as you don't see anything blowing out of there, you check around this fitting, because you had that out. I'm not seeing anything there. We'll check this fitting here just to be sure. Every time we change tanks, this is what we do. See, there's no air bubbles going anywhere. And we just leave that like that. That'll dry, and that'll be just fine. So we're going to go into the trailer and turn on the furnace, and we'll see if it lights. Okay, so what we did is went inside the living quarters here, turned on the furnace. It was set at 50. We just turned the switch to on. And then you can hear the furnace out here. Can you hear that noise? Okay, it's blowing, it's hot, so that means it's getting propane, so that part of it's working fine. And then we want to come back around and check and make sure that we have green band here again. That's showing good. That's all green. As this tank runs out, that'll start showing red and green, and then it'll just go all red when it's empty. So right now we got a good full green band. That's got 30 pounds of gas in it. It's nice and tight. That's ready to go. Leave that gas valve open and this one closed since we're on the left tank. And that's it for how to change a propane tank on a living quarters horse trailer. And you always want to check it with the soap suds. You don't ever want to just put it on and think you got it tight enough. You go somewhere and you find out you don't have any propane. It's probably because this wasn't tight and it was leaking. So if you like the channel, hit that like button.